Trouble seemed to find me, even when I wasn't looking for it. Maybe it was the crowd I ran with, or maybe I just had a knack for making the worst possible choices. Back then, I thought I was invincible. My friends and I would sneak around the neighborhood, always looking for something to do, always pushing the line just a little further. One night, under a bruised purple sky, we squeezed through a gap in my neighbor's fence. The air was thick with the tang of oil and the hum of an old fridge. We huddled around a single, flickering bulb in his garage, acting like we owned the place. We passed around a blunt, the smoke hanging heavy in the air. I took a huge drag, feeling like a dragon. But then, I lost my balance, stumbled, and sent a toolbox crashing to the floor. The sound was deafening. A pool of solvent, glinting in the dim light, caught the metal tools. A spark flickered. Then the whole thing went up, flames ballooning out of nowhere. Panic hit us all at once. My friends bolted, faces twisted with fear, leaving me alone with the fire. My lungs burned. I threw open the garage door, desperate for air. Standing outside was Mr. Henderson, my neighbor, in a frayed bathrobe. He didn't say a word, just grabbed my collar and tossed me onto the damp grass. Then he ran for his fire extinguisher, face set like stone. Sirens wailed in the distance. My friends, already caught, were quick to blame me for everything. The cops looked at me like I was a lost cause. The judge didn't care about my excuses. 4 months in juvenile detention, she said. I spent those months fighting regret, locked behind steel doors and silence. A month before my sentence was up, the court let me out early, on the condition I paid for Mr. Henderson's garage repairs. Every dollar I earned for the next year went straight to him. At home, the air was thick with disappointment. Mom scrolled through job ads, her hands shaking. Dad sat across from us, silent and heavy. I knew I'd broken something in them, something that might not heal. Eventually, we found a job ad, pizza delivery driver wanted. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. Mom fixed up my resume, Dad grilled me on interview questions. Their hope was quiet, but it was there. A week later, I was standing outside Luigi's Loafs. The place smelled like tomato sauce and burnt cheese. A gruff guy in a flour-dusted apron gave me a quick interview. No questions about my past, just the basics. The job was rough. Long hours, lousy pay, and customers who could ruin your night with a single glare. But the tips mattered. Every dollar, every crumpled bill went to paying off my debt. Some customers were nice, but others, not so much. I got doors slammed in my face, accusations of missing sodas, and a few people who seemed to think yelling was a sport. One night, just after midnight, I was ready to clock out, but my boss's voice came over the radio. One more delivery, way out in the countryside. I sighed, grabbed the pizzas, and punched the address into my GPS. The GPS suggested a shortcut, Creek Road. It sounded harmless, but the further I drove, the darker it got. Streetlights faded, replaced by thick woods and the occasional star. I pulled over, headlights cutting through the blackness. I fumbled with the greasy note, dialing the number scrawled on top. The crickets outside were the only sound. After a few rings, a gruff voice answered. The guy described his place. A driveway that looked like a dirt trail, a big oak with a tire swing, and a rusty mailbox shaped like a pickup truck. I found the trail, dust swirling in my headlights. After a bit, a little yellow house appeared, porch light flickering, a rectangle of gold on the porch swing. I grabbed the pizzas, walked up the gravel path, and knocked on the door. No doorbell. The sound echoed, hollow and strange. From inside, I heard old scratchy music, something from a different era. Slow footsteps shuffled closer. The door creaked open, just a sliver. A man peeked out, face hidden in shadow. I stammered, "Pizza delivery, right?" He just nodded, voice warm but weirdly tense. "Yeah, that's me." He shuffled away to get the cash. As the door opened wider, a wave of sickly sweet, rotten odor hit me. I nearly gagged. The smell was unmistakable. Death, or something close to it. I knocked again, trying to hurry things along. His voice called from deeper inside. "Could you come into the kitchen, please?" The request was so odd, I thought I'd misheard. I hesitated. My boss had warned us, never go inside a customer's house. But something in his voice, or maybe just my own dumb curiosity, pushed me forward. The house was a time capsule. Faded wallpaper, a grandfather clock, an old record player spinning that same haunting tune. The kitchen glowed at the end of a narrow hallway. Then I saw her, an old woman, back to me, swaying and dancing in the hallway to that scratchy old music. Not sensual, just wrong, like she was lost in her own world. I looked away, heart pounding, and caught the man peeking around the kitchen doorway, only one eye visible, staring straight at me. My mind blanked. I managed to choke out, "Do you have the money?" Instead of answering, the man let out a low, guttural chuckle. It crawled up from somewhere deep, vibrating through the walls. It wasn't laughter. It was something else. Suddenly, he screamed, "Get him, Ma!" The words hit me like a slap. From the hallway, I heard footsteps, fast, heavy. I spun around. The woman was charging at me, faster than she should have been able to move. I dropped the pizzas, bolted for the door, and flung myself outside. I fumbled with my keys, hands shaking so bad I nearly dropped them. The car door flew open. I dove inside and started the engine. Gravel spat out behind me as I tore down the driveway. I risked a look back. In the moonlight, I saw them. Two figures standing in the open doorway, faces hidden in shadow but staring right at me. I pressed the gas harder. A few days later, I tried to go back to work. I told my coworkers what happened. They laughed, thought it was hilarious, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. I stormed into my boss's office and told him I quit. He tried to warn me, reminded me about the court agreement, but I just couldn't do it anymore. A month later, I landed a job at a local diner. It was better, but every penny still went to paying off that garage. I kept my head down, tried to move on. One night, as I was cleaning up, my phone vibrated. I answered, not thinking much of it. There was only silence at first, then ragged breathing. I almost hung up, but then I heard it, a scratchy old song, playing faintly in the background. The same tune from that house. My blood ran cold. I wish I could say that was the end of it, but sometimes, late at night, I still hear that song, just a whisper, just enough to make me wonder if I ever really left that house behind.
Babysitting for my sister was supposed to be easy. Her place was nice, the girls were good kids, and honestly, I didn't have anywhere else to be that night. The girls, my nieces, 8 and 10, were glued to the TV, arguing over which Mario Kart track was the best. I let them have their fun, just soaking in the hum of the house. It was one of those quiet, suburban nights. You know, where you can hear the fridge kick on and off, and every little sound seems to echo. After a while, I realized the girls hadn't eaten anything. I asked if they were hungry, but they both just shook their heads, eyes still locked on the screen. I said I could make them a quesadilla, or, you know, whatever they wanted. Still nothing. Just a flat no. But when I mentioned pizza, they both lit up, like actually turned around and yelled "yes" in unison. I should have known. I grabbed the house phone and stepped outside to call the Pizza Hut down the road. It was dead silent out there, and my voice sounded way too loud on the porch. There was this bag on the street. For a second, I thought it was mine, but when I got closer, it was just trash, probably the neighbors. I ordered 2 large pizzas, pepperoni and 1 just cheese. The girl on the other end took my address, told me 20 minutes. I went back in, locked the door behind me. The girls were still at it, now arguing about which pizza topping was the best. I just smiled and waited. 20 minutes crawled by. I kept checking the clock, listening for any sound outside. The house felt even quieter than before. Finally, the doorbell rang. I peeked out the window, saw a girl in a Pizza Hut shirt holding 2 boxes. Relief. I paid her in cash, thanked her, and carried the pizzas into the kitchen. The girls tore into them like they hadn't eaten in days. I finally sat down, thinking the night would wind down now. But not even 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang again. At first, I thought maybe she'd forgotten something. Or maybe it was a neighbor. I peeked out the window, but it was hard to see anything in the dark. I opened the door, and there was this old man. He was holding a pizza box, but he wasn't wearing any uniform, just a faded jacket, gray hair sticking out from under a cap.
Hello, son. I got your pizza that you ordered.
I tried to keep my voice steady. I told him, "Sorry, I didn't order any pizza. You must have the wrong house."
Are you sure?
He pressed his hand against the door, not letting me close it. I felt my heart start to pound. I told him again, firmer this time, that he had the wrong place. Finally, I managed to pull the door shut. I locked it, my hands shaking. I stood there, listening, but I didn't hear anything else. A few minutes later, my youngest niece tugged my sleeve. She whispered, asking why there was a man just standing outside our house. I peeked out the window again. He was still there. Same old man, still holding that pizza box, just staring at the house. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely think. I tried to keep calm for the girls, but inside I was freaking out. I opened the door again, this time furious. I yelled at him, told him if he didn't leave, I'd call the cops right now. He didn't say a word. He just turned and ran, the pizza box still in his hand, disappearing down the street. I locked every door and window I could find. I kept the girls close, trying to act like it was nothing, but I couldn't shake the feeling that he might come back. The rest of the night crawled by. I kept checking the windows, listening for footsteps, but there was nothing, just the ticking of the kitchen clock. My sister came home a couple hours later. She saw the look on my face and knew something was wrong. I told her everything, about the pizzas, the old man, the way he tried to get in. She looked more worried than I'd ever seen her.
What did he look like?
I described him. Old, white, gray hair, faded blue jacket, kind of hunched. She didn't say anything for a long time.
Did he say anything else? Did he try to come inside?
I told her I never let him in, that he left when I threatened to call the police. She nodded, but I could tell she was still rattled. I'm not sure if she called the cops after I left. She didn't say. I guess I didn't want to ask. Even now, weeks later, I still wonder what would have happened if I hadn't locked that door. Or if I'd let him in, just to see what was in that box. Sometimes, I still hear the doorbell in my dreams. I always wake up before I answer it.